So we're gonna just gonna get started. People are gonna probably start jumping on here kind of as the day comes. For those, a reminder too, these are recorded. So if you missed something or wanted to go back and uh, rewatch a segment, they'll be up on the website or our YouTube channel. Today we're gonna get started with our Board of Directors Spotlight for United States Cattlemen's. And today we have Larry Knieve. So Larry, if you want to start off by kind of telling us a little bit about yourself and kind of why you joined United States Cattlemen's, I'll let you take the floor.
Okay, good morning. Uh, I'm District 9, is that right? District 9 director.
Yes. Yep.
I've been in I've been in a business, I think, since they domesticated cattle. But I joined USCA because I kind of wanted to see a little bit of a difference in what was going on. And Jack alluded to something today that I've been fighting tooth and claw for years, and that's methane in cattle. We're looking for a solution to a problem that does not exist. We don't have a climate problem here, and I don't think we should be testing for something and supporting the narrative that's false. And that's part of the reason I joined USCA is so we can talk about things like that. I don't want to see it in studies. I don't want to see it in college studies, and I don't want to be uh, I'm trying to think of the right word, demonizing cattle on the landscape. It sets us up for a fall. Currently, in the administrations we're in right now, we're fine. But things are going to change one of these days, and it's going to come back and haunt us. And as far as production, well, I rented, I bought this place and it was all farmed, and I seeded it down to grass, put in water lines, cross fences, and did everything the way I thought it should be right. Never ever ran out of grass. So currently we're wet, so we're in pretty good shape. I'm down to now to where I'm just kind of running a hobby bunch. We sold the last couple hundred cows here about 3 years ago, and I just couldn't get out. I don't know. It's kind of like quitting smoking and keeping a pack of cigarettes under your seat in your pickup. It's you just can't get out. So here I am.
Perfect. Well, Larry, thank you so much for that. We're going to go out into just a few rapid fire questions just to kind of get a little bit a little bit more knowledge on you. First one I'm going to ask is what's the best investment under $5,000 you've made?
Best investment under $5,000 that I've made. Golly, what can you buy for 5 grand nowadays that's connected to cattle? I I would guess probably under $5,000. Oh, that's a tough one. Uh, I I really couldn't say. Probably just some portable corral systems and portable windbreaks, things like that. Because we're up here on the northern plains, and if the wind isn't blowing 15 miles an hour, it's blowing 35. So those are things that we have to do, and then we can move things around and do what we want to do with them.
Perfect. What's one thing you bet will be meaningfully different in 5 years?
AI
Yeah.
and not artificial insemination. I'm talking AI. I think that the information world is going to get awfully big, but it's also something that you have to watch because you only get out of it what somebody put into it. So you're going to have to watch for misinformation and things like that that come through AI.
And a mistake you would warn yourself about your younger self. If you could go back, what would you warn yourself about?
Oh gosh, if I could go back, I think I'd work less hours. We put in 80 hours a week for about 45 years. spend a little more time, at least take the family along somehow.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Larry, for being our Board of Director Spotlight today. We're going to go ahead and kick some things off here with our main presenter, Michael. I'm sorry if I botched your last name, Bristow. Um,
Krista.
Bristow. He is with Circle 5 Cow School and works directly with producers across the country, focusing on improving herd management through practical systems, technology, and data-driven decision making. Micah, go ahead and take the floor and kind of let us know what you're doing in your part of the country.
All right. Well, appreciate you having me. We started about 7, 8 years ago. After I retired, I started a school where I travel around and I teach pregnancy checking and artificial insemination. Pregnancy checking is the most popular. You usually have about half or less of the people that's in AI. But we go anywhere from, farthest east I've been is almost to Washington, D.C., believe it or not. And Blandon, Utah, been all the way up to almost into Canada and North Dakota, and then real far south down to Uvalde, Texas. So we've covered a lot. Have seen a lot of students, met a lot of good people. We still try and convince people that they can preg check their cows. It's not rocket science. It is not an exact art, that's for sure. But it's not rocket science. They can figure it out. If they can AI, for sure they can preg check. But we just think it's a tool that's a really good tool for people to have. I don't know where it is. Well, I shouldn't say that because I do know, because I hear people all the time tell me from coast to coast it's hard to get a vet. They want you to haul them in to be checked. Well, that's just kind of ridiculous in my opinion. So, it's hard to get a veterinarian, and they can do it themselves and save themselves some money, but also, increase their knowledge, and become a better producer. And so that's what we strive for. Yeah. We run 100 red Angus here. We AI red, and then we use red cleanup bulls. And then the last 20 days, we turn in horned Herefords because we know that anything bred that late in the season is not going to make a breeding animal. So we want to capitalize on that hybrid vigor with the crossbreeds.
Nice. Can you walk us through what a typical day in your class would look like?
Sure. Yep. We usually start on Fridays. Um, we'll start at 9 o'clock, and we'll go through the parts of a cow and their function, method of pregnancy checking, what to feel for each month of pregnancy. So we got about 45 minutes worth of paperwork. And then we feel a reproductive tract on the table, feel cervix and horns on the table, and then we get right on the cows. And we'll usually go to about 2 or 3 preg checking. If we kind of do the ultrasound coincide with it. If they want ultrasound, then we'll kind of do both at the same time. We're not going to run the cows through 2 times, And then we'll do AI for a couple hours if they're taking it. And the next day, the Saturday, we'll preg check some more. And then we'll finish up AI. We'll practice on live cows on that second day for AI.
Nice, nice. And then
It's a lot of hands-on. A lot of hands-on.
Yeah, what kind of demographic are you seeing more now, kind of in today's world of who's showing up? Is it us young producers or kind of that first generation ranchers?
We get it all from 12 years old to 80. From a few mini highlands to thousands of cows. A guy from Georgia called yesterday and said, he's a small producer, that he didn't have near as many cows as we do out here. He said he had 1,000 cows. I said, I don't care where you're at, 1,000 cows is a lot of cows. Yeah, so we get it all. Yeah. We've had a few from old Mexico. And then you never can tell where they're going to come to. A lot of it depends more on the timing than it does where it's at. A lot of it, they may fly in somewhere just because that's the weekend that they could get there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. Last couple weeks ago, a guy come on a train from California to southern Texas. he really wanted to learn how to preg check. He ride a train from California to Texas.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Definitely like seeing all that excitement,
Yep. Yep. It's
and
been good. The Lord's blessed us beyond compare.
yeah, yeah. I know when I went to college at Northwest, they did teach that was a specific class that they did teach and everything, and I kind of regret not taking it here now. But when I saw that you put on schools, I was like,
Yep.
okay, maybe this is something USDA could also help with and get your name out there as
Right.
well. So
Yep.
yeah. Just a few other questions here, and then I'll kind of open it up. The floor, also is, um, hmm, what's the biggest mistake you see producers making during prairie checking season?
Biggest mistake? Hmm. Well, I don't know. I can tell you what I get calls about.
Okay.
Calls I get. So 4 months bred, you're usually not going to feel the fluid sac or fetus at 4 months, 4.5 months. And that's where a lot of them start second guessing themselves. There's indicators of pregnancy at that point that are fairly easy to find. But then, since they can't feel structure, they can't feel fluid, they start second guessing themselves. And then very early breds, that's probably where 30 days, I can pick up pregnancy with 30 days with my hand, but that takes quite a bit of time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
For producers considering our AI, what's one real tipping point that makes sense to it instead of just breed bullying or
Just natural. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you can. I think one of the biggest advantages personally is even if they don't stick AI, big chunk of those that didn't stick AI are going to come into heat relatively short amount of period of time. So I still think, and I see it every time I do it, is you're shrinking it down. You're shrinking your window down more and more. Besides the fact you can use bulls that you can't afford, you use different genetics and things like that. I'm not a big advocate of sex semen, but I know that's a tool that a lot of people do use. I sell bulls and heifers both, so I want both. But it's it's kind of disheartening. Because really in the United States, the level of beef producers using AI is not going up; it's going down. That's sorry to say, but it is. But so I think, and it's not for everybody. I'll be the first one to admit it. Okay. It is not for everybody. And then one of the misconceptions is that, that you don't, that you can get rid of bulls. Well, you can't get rid of bulls. You still got to have bulls, and so I think it's a very good tool. But again, I will admit it's not for everybody. There's a lot of this country that that I can do things in this small pasture country. That's what we call this country, small pasture. Biggest pasture I got is 100 acres. I can do things here that those friends of mine out in West Texas, they cannot do it.
Mhm. Well, I'll open up the floor here too. If there's any questions, feel free to ask at any time. Um, if not, I do have a few more.
Dang, I thought I was going to get Larry's fast rapid questions.
Yeah, I know. Well, we can definitely ask those too if you want.
Mm.
Hmm. Um, with coming in and doing AI or even prey te checking on your own places, what is kind of some equipment that you say 100% what's needed and things like that?
Right. I I really, really know that a lot of people hate sternum bars, breast bars, but I really do not like to brake check without one because they'll get down on their knees, and they'll get their rear end way up in the air, and so and a good access door that's safe, either a cage or a good access door that's locked off good. I guess two of the most important things.
Perfect.
I was gonna jump in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, hey, thanks so much. Good to have Jess Peterson here, help out on the staffing front, and then run some cattle myself. We do feeder steers, feeder heifers, and replacement heifers. So oddly enough, my entire life we did cow calf, and then in the last few years been more, as I mentioned, kind of in the yearling side of things, and so bull bred, and then transitioned over to AI for a portion of it. So just fascinated by your overview and insight. So anything that I say, yeah, can and will be used against me for my lack of intelligence. So that's why I'm listening to you here today. Um, if you would just, we use the basic steps. I mean, we're very blessed for, folks like you are out, you're teaching it, you're doing it. I think you have some of the best professionals in the community that are doing AI, the folks that are coming to our operation. Norm Bellows and the crew, but locals there across eastern Montana. So we'll do the steps. Just kind of curious, a two-part question. I want to follow up on that cycle, but first I want to get so first one I want to just have you walk through your steps, and then I was very intrigued by what you call coming back into cycle, because I want to clarify on that. Some of our breeding rates were messing it up. Walk me through just there's different methodologies, different sets that you do, as to get them to cycle and whatnot. We do the cedars, and then of course the lulais and all the shots. Is there walk me through? They're all pretty similar, but they're slightly different too. Give me kind of your sure shot AI prep stages leading up to the big day.
Yeah. So you're talking about different protocols,
Different protocols. Yes.
Right. And so if it's a protocol listed that fits what you're breeding, Bos Taurus, Bos Indicus, cow, heifer, and you follow it, it's going to work.
Okay. So there's really, so you're not going to stand up and say, nope, this protocol. Oh, that's fascinating. That's like the only thing I've ever heard where guys will say either protocol is fine. That just seems like the entire antithesis of the cattle industry is that we agree on one thing. It just doesn't seem possible. But anyways, I'm amazed. Mission accomplished.
Yeah. I think one of the most important things is good body condition prior and days. See, the more days after postpartum you go, the better off you're going to be. Right. But we can't go too far, right?
Okay.
So those two things as well as following that protocol, doing what it says.
Okay, and weight size too. You're big on that size condition. What do you consider? And we go across the board on this. It's tough, right? We've got some lighter Angus calves. We're not pushing them in the feed yard. We're putting ground hay in front of them, Nutrilix, liquid feed. What do you consider that optimal weight? And then what do you say, like, dang, buddy, you're just at a weight that you might be losing your hit. Would you have a weight size?
I grow my heifer slow. Okay. So the first fat on in the female goes to her mammary system. And if it's the first fat on, it ain't never coming off. And that'll restrict her ability to milk. So I grow mine slow. I don't want mine weighing. Mine are going to weigh somewhere between 765 and 800 pounds when I AI at 14 months old. And I don't want them any bigger than that.
Okay. Well, that's still okay. And if they're smaller than that, I mean, we're
smaller frame, you'd be less.
Yeah. You think less for accuracy of that. You're less take rate at a smaller frame.
Not necessarily.
Okay. You're okay. So if we're at that, we're going to be at that more 6.5. I mean, it's going to, it's going to be hustling to get to 7 for us. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, but you don't hustling to get to 7.
Yeah, but you don't think that's not setting us back then in your mind? Then you don't see that once they hit that size.
Not as long as they're at if they're at at their percentage mature weight where they need to be. I don't think it matters.
Okay, that's what I want to. Yeah, we're not pushing for a 1,400 pound cow. So yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, we're okay, very good. You mentioned something. So we had heavy on the third cycle. You were saying they're in cycle, they breed a little quicker. So say they miss that first. We had a pretty heavy third cycle versus second cycle. Is that what you see? Because it's so hard to hit that second cycle. Tell me about those cycles, because I thought you said they cycle. You said not to put words, something better, but they're cycling, and I agree. I do agree on the cycling side. Right. We noticed that. Yeah. So we had a lot more third cycle than say second cycle on the bull breed side.
Yeah, well, what I said was, if your AI conception rate is not really good, okay,
Oh, I see. Okay, I
then
see what you're saying.
you're
The
gonna
second.
have a big chunk of them come into heat the second time,
Okay.
relatively short amount of time frame. You
Okay.
know,
Yep. No, that makes sense. And then on the other side of that, then is then on that first cycle, if you're pretty solid in the first cycle, not a lot in the second. Clearly, it's that third cycle you're going to catch them in. Then correct? Is
right?
that what you'd see?
Yeah,
Okay, because that's what we
yeah,
had. So yeah, we had pretty good on that first, but that's fascinating. So if you miss. If you don't do everything very, I like what you're saying. If you don't do, not that, but you always want to have that fallback in anything, in any business, certainly the cattle business. If you don't hit them
right.
all in that AI, something just goes AWOL.
Yeah,
You're right. They are cycling, and then you hit them right away with your second cycle. So no, that's again, that is a wealth of knowledge. I'd
right.
rather learn it
Yeah,
from you here on the next gen call
yeah,
than going out there and running cattle through a chute and going, oh shoot,
yeah,
we were just this far off from getting that cow pregnant. Does that matter? Is that
yeah,
close? This close enough doesn't count in AI, does it?
yeah. No, no.
Well, do you,
I'll tell you a very good secret that hardly anybody does. But for less than $1.50 a head, you could find out whether all your heifers are cycling or not before you ever try to breed them. It's 30 to 45 days before you're going to breed them, put heat tabs on them.
Yeah, you know what? That was my uncle. They've always done that through the years. I don't know if these. I think I was, dare I say, I might have been one of those guys when the heat tabs first came out. So yeah, I mean, I'm not. I'm more in the age of grass, not age of dirt, like Larry Knieve here. So yeah, I mean, I'm a slightly younger, but not by
Right.
far. But anyways, no, but that's those. I remember those heat tabs when they came out. Larry was going to impart some wisdom. I don't want to miss that. Thanks.
do you heat detect everything then, or when we bred large groups of heifers, we'd feed them GnRH, and we'd have everything on time. And then we finally, after we tried heat detecting for a few years, we gave up on that and just time bred everything. And then
Right.
within a few days, you turn the bulls out and they clean up.
Yeah.
We got
Yeah. With a
if
large
if
with
we
a
didn't get them
large
on the
group, you
second
pretty well
cycle, they
have to
weren't
time
being
breed.
bred.
I mean, it can be done by heat detection, but I mean that's a lot of undertaking.
Yeah, we'd have, wife, kids, somebody in every pen,
Right.
and when they
Yeah.
start circling up and you got 15 of them
Yeah.
jumping and circling, you're not getting it anyway.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I definitely would not. The industry standard is to wait 14 days, turn bulls in. I would not do that. I do not do that on my own for sure. I'll
Yeah,
give
we
it
give them
about
5 days.
2 days and then they're out. Yeah. I don't want to
Oh,
wait 2 weeks.
tell me. Oh, tell me more about that. That's fascinating. Okay, now there is a change in the protocol. So tell me about that one. They're saying,
Yeah.
wait. You're saying
The
get those.
only reason they're telling you to wait is because if you turn it out before 14 days, then when they start calving, you're probably not gonna, or when you preg check, it's gonna be so close, you're not gonna know whether they're AI bred or natural bred. Okay. Well, in the day of DNA, I could care less. You know what I mean? I'll find out later when a calf's here whether it's an AI calf or a natural calf. But I don't want to. I don't want to wait 2 weeks to turn bulls out while I got heifers out there or cows out there that may be cycling. You see what I'm saying? I want to get them
Well,
bred.
well, for us, I mean, we market them at the Mighty St. Ange Livestock, so we want to
I
be
got you.
careful.
Yeah.
Call, but is
Yeah.
that the
If you're
only reason? So for your own
right. Yeah.
rates, don't worry about it. But for
Right. Yeah.
marketing, you can get that's very very helpful for your private herd. That's good if you're doing it for your own herd. Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Right.
it
I
would
see what
be.
you're saying. If you're marketing them AI bred, then you're going to have to. You would need to wait. Yes.
But I see what you're saying that you can have them right there. That is okay.
Yeah.
That's. I was wondering about that too because they say that timing and then it's. And even on that, even as you know, is when you wait that 2 weeks, the vets, is their ultrasound, they're still going to say, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's AI. Well, let's just go with
Yeah.
that then. So yeah, okay,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
helpful.
When
Thank you.
I first started AI and I waited 2 weeks because I wanted to see if I was any good.
Yeah.
No, I just want a case.
No, I think that's spot on. No, you made a great point there. That was the one protocol. I think those are the helpful nuggets that we're really trying to that I personally get out there, and I think it's great for our viewers too to kind of understand that. So no, I'll stop dominating. I'm just a newbie at this, and I'm grateful for the insight.
Appreciate the question.
Well, see, when we started on this deal, we started AI in, I don't know, back in the 70s, I'm guessing. And I found out that the best thing you could, and I went out and run all over the country and looked at the AI bulls. I went to the studs because I wanted to see what they look like. Some of them disappointed me quite a
Yeah.
bit. So I went out and I started buying very expensive bulls that I couldn't afford. And you use those AI. What you do, the cheapest insurance you can get is take that bull to the local stud or the closest one you can find, collect him,
Right.
use him in your AI program, and turn him out on your cleanup. If he gets hurt, he's in the tank.
Right.
You're never going to lose that bull. And then you
That's
can go
true.
back 30 years. Not everybody, I guess, can do that, but I've done it.
Yep.
A bull that we bought back in, I don't know, 85 or 6 or 7. We bought him down in Denver out of that Red Angus test that they had down there. And he was cheap because he was too big for those Red Angus guys. He was a 6'8" frame. Well, I'm bringing him back in now.
Yeah.
But, I want to keep that steady frame. And of course,
Right.
like Jess out there in that Intermountain region, they run a little smaller cows than we do. Our cows are probably averaging 1,500 pounds. So we want to keep that. And the only thing that we don't have on those old bulls is carcass data. So we are kind of using them and hoping for the best.
Right. Yep.
Perfect conversations there this morning, guys. If someone was wanting to put on a school in their area, what would be the first steps they would need to take to get you out and promote and get things started and rolling on that front end of things?
Sure. Really all I need is just the chute and the cows. I do everything else. I don't need a classroom. We have clipboards. We hardly ever use a classroom. Um, you know, and then I take care of all enrollment, everything. So really all I need is the cows and the chute and the people's, willingness to help me out and help other people out, Yeah. And I got to give a big shout out to my host. Okay. Because if it wasn't for them, I could have one here, of course, but I couldn't do what I do. And most of them, yes, I help them out because they get their cows preg checked, but also they also are industry minded and wanting to help other people too. And they enjoy it, when people come.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, thank you, Micah. Is there any last words or words of wisdom or any thoughts for us, taking this potentially out on ourselves or kind of
Yeah.
a clip onto any classes you guys have coming up here soon also?
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said earlier, it's not for everybody, but most producers will get something out of the class, even if I still contend, even if they never preg check again, after they leave, they're still helping themselves. Okay. And I had a kid tell me one time, he wasn't but probably in his mid-20s. And he told me just me talking about mineral at the class was worth the money he paid. So you just never know, you never know what it is that we're offering that's going to help the most or what people perceive as what's helping them the most, so, but we try to help anybody we can. If you ever pay once, you never pay again. Come back anytime for free. And a lot of times I can, I have people call me and I can talk them through a lot of things. So we try and help our alumni just as much as we do our new people. We got, we got schools coming up, Texas next week, the Arkansas and Texas and Kentucky in May. So we try and get out there as much as possible and spread it around so we can try and get as many people as we can.
Great, great. So glad, thank you again so much for being on the call today. Again, this is recorded. So if there's any questions that come afterwards that people email us, we'll certainly be sending them your way.
Okay.
And things like that. Thank you again. Really do appreciate it. Next here, we're going to move on to a little word from the Hereford Association. And we have Jack Ward on with us today. So thank you, Jack, for being on. My kind of quick question here is, what is the Hereford trend? I do kind of see it coming up and back again. I know that was kind of the main stock. that my when my grandpa was running the sale barn in Kimball, South Dakota, back in the day, that was kind of the main thing coming out of the yards there. So what are the trends looking like today?
Yeah, Maggie, well, thanks for having me on and yeah, the trend at for Hereford cattle and the demand is certainly very strong. The cattle business in general is very, very healthy from that standpoint. And this last few years, as we tracked sales of bulls, we're seeing more bulls sold for a higher average. Obviously, the average is kind of goes without saying right now with cattle prices, but the fact that we're seeing more bulls sold, our registrations are in good shape here. And you know, we've put a lot of effort over the last couple decades into kind of reproving the value of heterosis and where Hereford genetics fits from a maternal standpoint without losing sight of some carcass. You know, over the years, we've had to kind of dispel some of the old myths about Hereford cattle in terms of performance, maternal side, udder quality. The track of that has been unbelievable in terms of pressure that breeders have put on those kinds of traits of economic value. And so, in general, the trend and the demand for Hereford, and one of the things we see is it really doesn't matter what part of the country. Obviously, down in the Gulf Coast area, Hereford plays a big role alongside those Brahma cows and Brangus cows, Gert cows, and then of course the black and red baldies throughout the plains and east and west is really has positioned us very well. There's a common denominator in all those baldies, and most of them is the Hereford effect. So.
Perfect. Any I guess kind of two is how is your involvement with the next generation, kind of showing up? Are your youth shows gaining more traction and that involvement, are you seeing that involvement continue throughout
Yeah, yeah,
everything?
I'm glad you asked the question. We're very proud of the junior program here at the Hereford Association, and it is growing. The membership's growing, the demand, and certainly the show events and so on and so forth are really very, very valuable. I know our team just got back from Texas, where they had a very engaged leadership program for some of our older junior members down there. But what I would tell you is just actually today, we have a number of staff that are leaving. We're in the 10th year of a Fed Steer shootout program that we call, where it's where juniors can send cattle 1 to 3 head. They can be straight Herefords or Baldies, and we send them out. Right now, we're associated with the HRC feed yard in Scott City, Kansas, where these kids send the cattle. They don't have to pay a feed bill bi-monthly. It comes out of their check at the end. But what they do get is reports on a monthly basis in terms of treatment, death loss, performance of those calves. We get them involved in every part of the feeding industry. And this weekend, we're having a field day. So those kids, we get somewhere around there's about 30 states involved in this, I guess, of kids from 30 states, a number of steers, and they go out there and we get them networking with people like Cargill's coming. Their staff is coming this weekend to kind of go over some things from a meat standpoint, cuts of meat, carcass value. They're going to simulate some stuff in terms of grid premiums. We take them to the feed yard, let them see things at the feed yard level in terms of nutrition, how those cattle are handled. They get to actually go in and see their calves. We take those cattle through harvest. These kids kind of develop a portfolio over the course of the year. And then during our annual meeting in October, we recognize those kids have participated. We name an overall winner. That means not only did the kids' calf perform well on feed, but also they get involved and they have to fill out this portfolio. They go through an interview process. And so we obviously make a little bit of a competition out of it. But what I've seen, Maggie, what I'm really proud of, beyond the show ring of what we're doing, we're showing these young youth the other side of the business, what drives the value, the true value of cattle in this industry, and what takes out the risk. Did you vaccinate those cattle properly? Did you wean them for 45, 60, 90 days, wherever they can be the most successful? And it's really hard here because these cattle are commingled at the feed yard. So the risk is even a little bit higher. So it's been a great program. We're really proud of what we've done from that standpoint. And we've been really happy with the engagement of the juniors around the country in that program.
Yeah, that's an awesome program. I guess I didn't realize that the Hereford Association did that. That's really nice to kind of show. And I do see a lot of times that, especially 4-H kids, that's where kind of my background showing and everything took place. Is a lot of them forget, after the show ring, where do they go? What happens and takes place there? So
Right.
definitely kind of really cool and neat to see you kind of promoting a program to let them know that there is more just beyond the ring with your cattle and everything. So, any other questions here for Jack today? All right. Any other things that you would like to be made aware of, Jack, on what the association's doing? Anything exciting coming up on the track or?
Yeah, we just actually just finished our spring board meetings here a couple of weeks ago, and there is we've got a lot of good things going on. We do invest a lot in research and showing the value, documenting the value in Hereford genetics, that crossbreeding from a maternal standpoint, crossbreeding that first generation, that black baldy or that tiger stripe super baldy creates a tremendous amount of value. I mentioned earlier before we got on the call, the work that we've done at Olson Ranches over the last almost 30 years now in a young sire test program. And we publish those results, those cattle bulls get used there. And so, if people are interested, I would encourage anyone to get on our website. You can go to a resources page. You can kind of get in there and look at some of the various research projects and what we've done in terms of proving the economic value of adding some Hereford genetics to your cow herd.
Awesome. Thank you. Sorry, we had some loud traffic here in downtown Billings. Thank you guys so much. I really do appreciate the time and that you guys took to talk to our next generation, promote what you guys are doing on the ground. Really do appreciate it here. Also, I want to mention today's call is brought to us by Henry Repeating Guns, maker of American Cattleman Tribute Edition Rifle, and a proud sponsor of the U.S. Cattle Producers. So thank you again for joining us on this Thursday. Best of wishes as calving season comes to an end and getting ready for spring prep. We'll be having a call in May, and we'll hope to see you guys all then. Thank you guys. Have a great day.
Thank you.